So have you ever watch Impractical Jokers? You know, where they end up with this punishment. So like, one of the guy's punishments once was to get Jaden Smith's face tattooed to his thigh. Like, it's one of those photorealistic tattoos that you look at and you're like, impressed. Oh my God, this guy's an artist. So then maybe a year or two later, I guess, he lost another challenge, and his punishment was, again, to get Jaden Smith's face tattooed to his other thigh, but slightly aged now. You know, like current Jaden Smith, like for 2008 or whatever. No so way. Like in a recent bit, the bit is
I would so not lose.
Oh, sometimes it's easier to lose and take the tattoo than to do what they were going to make you do.
But isn't it usually saying something that you don't want to say?
It's usually saying something really awful to someone. Sometimes it could be like insulting them. But
kind of an awful way. Is pretty rough.
Well, he's got both thighs with Jaden Smith's face on him. So a recent bit on a completely third episode that's completely separate. He's like, that's one of yeah. So he's
got like, the Wi-Fi brow.
You know, I think that. I don't know if that was the one who was in this bit. So there may be a second guy on the show who also has 2 Jaden Smith tattoos. There may be 3 in the bunch, but he's behind the desk and he's writing an email, and he asked this stranger, she's the one the joke is being played on, would you listen to my email and let me know if it's, buttoned up and ready to send? And she's like, sure, I'd love to do that, people. And so the email is like, the tattoo that you put on me is not what I asked for. This is not my son. It does not look like my son. I will hurt you and your family in ways you can't comprehend. And he's like, do you think I should send it? And she's like, well, what are we talking about? And he stands up and pulls his pants down and shows her his left thigh. And he's like, the worst part is, and she's like, that is not your son. Because first he shows her his son, his real son, I think. And then after that, he's like, the worst part is I went back. He said he'd give me one for free. Something like that. Those are the other thigh. That is not your... I would be pissed. So you think see, they have to convince this lady that email is ready to be sent off, even though it is a threatening, unprofessional email. So he came up with the whole bit about and she's like, I'd be pissed. Yes, send it.
Dude, I love Impractical Jokers. I think that's a hilarious show. Did you hear Joe? Everybody agrees Joe's the funniest guy on the show.
He's not my favorite, but
he's leaving the show.
He's the guy with the pot belly.
Personal reasons. Yeah.
Well, his wife and he split, I believe, and that group is very tight. Like, they've been high school friends, from what I understand. And they were high school friends, I should say.
What do they like the wife more? Like, why does he have to leave the show though?
I don't know.
I think what he did was this, and they kicked him out. They're like, I can't believe you fucked Debbie's friend like that.
It seems from the outside looking in.
To be clear, Taylor can fuck anyone he wants. He still has a place on PKA.
Right, thank you.
I would.
You too, Tucker.
Thanks. I mean, hey, I'm not dating anybody, but
Kyle, you need to stay loyal to I don't know who.
Everyone. Loyal to everyone.
Anyway,
I'm bummed out that show's going away. It sucks.
Oh, the whole show's going away.
Well, the show. I mean, they said they're gonna keep it going. But without him, it's just not the same show. He's the funniest one. He responds to it the best. He's the one who it's hardest to embarrass. He
might be my least favorite.
What? That's wild.
So first of all, I saw him do a bit the other day where his improv is excellent. So the bit is that he has to get strangers to rub lotion on him, sun lotion on him in the park. And he's a disgusting looking man. He's got this huge beer belly and he's wearing a Speedo, I think. And by happenstance, he gets recognized by a fan. Now the cameras are hidden. And the fan is like, are you guys filming out here? And he's like, nah, I'm getting some sun, bro. Like I'm a big fan. It's like, great. Hey, you want to hang out? Yeah. He gets the fan to start rubbing but he's like, no, keep going. Every time the fan stops, keep going. And it's like 1 million SPF. So he's being painted white. And by the time the fan is done, he is completely covered. I mean, every fucking inch, like his face, like his arms.
Wasn't
like
it an Indian guy?
And they're unknowing. It's I think they're in Central Park. I don't know, but think like big park where like ladies lay on towels and in bikinis in the park. They're all watching this go down and giggling. Like they think it's the most awkward. It's great.
How is he your least favorite though?
Because the little guy who's bald is awesome. I like him.
Murr's my second favorite. He's great, but Joe's definitely number one.
I really like the big one. They're all kind of big except for the bald guy. But I don't know how to describe him because they all look so similar. They're all like older, chubby guys with beards, with dark hair.
Is it the one that's
They could all be Game of Thrones.
He looks very Italian.
Oh, Sal.
Yeah,
the one that
that's because he's
always whines about his punishments the most.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I think he's very expressive.
Which does, I think that he. It can be a bit annoying when they give him punishments that are just leaps and bounds easier than what they give Murr because they just bully Murr with it. But Sal knows that like by throwing a fit, that like he's basically like oh yeah, they're never going to come too hard at me because I'm giving them entertainment just by throwing a fit over something minor.
You know what? One of the more embarrassing
he makes out like
ones?
A bandit, not having to do anything hard.
One of the punishments run the gamut, but like some of them are embarrassing, some literally painful. And some are just weird. And one of them that like checks all three of those boxes. I think it's Murr, the bald one. They had him get a prostate exam in front of like a group of men, and women, like an audience, and they're talking about prostate health. And the premise was that he has volunteered from the crowd to be prostate, and he has to volunteer, and he gets up there and he's like, dude, look at your hands. And he puts his hands up next to the other guy's hands. And it's like when a girl, it does this shit. It's like when you grab your girl's hand like that. No! The doctor goes, don't worry about that. And the doctor's like, drop your pants. Because they tell him, don't drop your pants. Refuse to drop your pants. And he's like, so the doctor has to forcibly like get his pants off. And at first he won't bend over. So the doctor's kind of having to like bend him over. And gives him a prostate. I've never had a prostate exam. I thought they went in and like poked once and like, oh yeah, you have one. But they're like massaging lobes of this guy's prostate, and he's just like And,
wait, dude,
they finish, and he stands up and he's just like, I did it. And the doctor goes, but the truth is you can never be too sure. So I thought we'd have a second opinion today. Bring in Dr. Mike. And Dr. Mike comes in and he gives him another prostate exam. Like,
they should get that arm wrestler with the giant hand.
It's so fucking fun. Like, and that became so funny that like now, like in seasons after that, like the doctor was very funny in the way he played it off. And so they had him become a recurring character. And so randomly at the end of Murr punishments, it'll be like, Murr, you have to go give a sex ed class to your parents or something. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of it, he's like, am I done? And they're like, not yet, prostate exam. They sent him in and he's like, are you serious? Again? I've had 6 prostate exams this year. And then just at the end of it, they just pop a It's so fucking
I got
funny.
Brand new pants today, and I'm in genuine risk of peeing.
If you haven't watched Impractical Jokers before, it is such a funny show.
But they fit.
Like, I'm not 49.
Fucking discounts for getting your prostate checked. I do need to do that. Do you do that every year, or do you bounce around with? Like, do you commit to it?
3 to 5 times a week, maybe
3 to 5 times a week. That's a really funny bit. A guy that just won't stop going to the fucking proctologist or whatever. I'm telling you, Doc, I'm worried. No, get 2 in there. Sneak one. You just want that finger. Oh, it's like
bring your own lube.
It's like fucking. It's like fucking Impractical Jokers when they're giving Murr multiple of those. Oh my
Pushes
god!
Back on his hand.
That's so brutal. I've been watching more of that show. Kyle, have you watched much, or are you on plot shows now?
I've watched a ton of it.
Good. And Woody, have you? Sorry, Kyle. I just want to get Woody. Have you watched Impractical Jokers yet?
No,
it's on HBO Max. HBO Max. Yeah,
that's why I couldn't find it on Disney.
Yep, it's so funny.
HBO Max. There's a guy that works for us who logged in on our TV on HBO Max. So in one room in the house, we have it.
Well, you got to watch it there.
I don't know why I don't buy HBO Max.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Just get HBO Max.
Dude, this isn't one of those
richest person on the show far and away. Buy fucking HBO Max.
How in the world?
It's been like a decade now.
He's been freeballing it since HBO Go. No, HBO Now.
Literally.
Like,
oh my God.
like it was Game of Thrones season 2 when Woody started ripping off.
That's literally true. I don't know how I got it. I think back then I Googled for emails. I don't know. It way in the beginning.
Steal an identity? What did you do? You Googled for
you could
email.
literally Google for like HBO Max logins, and there'd be like 38 of them would come up. And by the time you got to 19, one would work.
Holy shit. That's the cheapest thing I've ever heard in my life. Wait, you could hang on. Instead of purchasing something that's like $12 a month, you Googled free HBO Max, and there was a list of like emails and passwords, and you tried like 30 of them till one of them worked, and you were like, "Ha! Beat the system."
All right. You really no. I said there were 30 of them, and I hit on like 19. Don't be ridiculous.
What was your time worth?
It's incalculable, really. I don't know.
Time worth nothing. I've heard that phrase about like computers, like Linux. Like Linux users, the phrase where like Linux is only good if your time is worthless or something.
Yeah,
like
Linux
that.
is only free if your time.
Yeah, it's only free. So there you go. You know, you're the computer guy. I'm like, Linux not good at keys because it's not it's not computer. I was watching more Impractical Jokers, Kyle, and you know how they have like episodes where they'll collect the uncomfortable punishments and put them together. Like, it's so simple, and I thought of this one to bring up to you because you're an ex-smoker. Murr, one of his punishments was he had to go into like the middle of New York in like a smoking section in the streets, and he had to walk up to people and steal their cigarettes out of their mouth and put them out in front of them.
Oh.
And then like a cup, like you see like smokers, they're addicts to nicotine, and he just took their drugs. They get fucking furious. Like so mad. One guy wants to fight. He gets to one guy who's like, they tell him like, if you get that guy's whole pack of cigarettes, the punishment's over. And so Murr is wearing like a $700, $800 like nice jacket. Yeah. And they're like, he's like, I don't know how to get the cigarettes. And so he goes, the guy's like, hey, we're about the same size, right? You give me your whole pack of cigarettes, you get this nice jacket. I'm not ripping you off. It's a very nice jacket. I don't want to do this. I just got it. And so then this one guy's like looking around like, are you gonna rob me back or something? Like, what's going on? And then no, he just got a random dude for a half a pack of like Parliaments, got a $900 jacket or something insane. How would you have responded though if someone came up to you randomly, took the cigarette out of your mouth, and then ashed it on the ground?
It depends so much on how many more cigarettes I have. Because if I've got a full
it's your last one.
Let's say this. I have an extra pack. Like I did the 2-pack special, right? And saved the 222. And now I've got an extra in here. Hey, what are you doing, man? Yeah, it's bad for me, I know, but gotta have them. Like, that's how that goes down. If it's my last one and I needed that one, oh my God, we're screaming. We're screaming in public. I'm trying to think of a way that this is theft somehow.
like trying to contact your attorney or something.
Like I don't know what to do now. I'm not gonna throw hands because I'm a fucking felon. but you know what I mean. But like, Jesus, that would be like if you've ever smoked and you know like how stressful your day can be in work, maybe, and like finally you get to go outside. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing like a nurse. Like, I know a lot of nurses who smoke, and like that smoking break is a big deal. Like they see some rough shit and then they go downstairs and they need a minute. And you take that cigarette out of that person's mouth, like that little pressure release valve that they had. Yeah, that could go real poorly for you. That's a hard one. I would not.
Very hard one.
I saw even the ones where there's little things that are like weird with like men and women. Like there's some where they get more points the more they touch the other person.
Yep.
But if you do it just right, you can touch a stranger a lot. If you're just like, yeah, you know how it is, man. You like touch them on the shoulder. Look, you've been there before, and you sort of like do that thing where you like reach over and put like your palm on like their shoulder like that. You're just like, hey, you've been there, right? Like you're here, you're there, and you can kind of like work that into a story. And like, look, you're not gonna like love it, but like you can, if the guy's like,
he's not going to respond violently, probably.
Yeah,
right? If the guy's,
if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, man, this guy's animated. He's pumped up. He's like trying to pull me into the story. I like this guy. I'd be okay with it. It's a friendly thing. But like one of them, they were like, if you touch his face, you're done. And because he's already touched on the shoulder a few times, and the guy's like trying to get away from him, and like, and he's just like, oh yeah, I like your beard. He's got like a goatee thing going on. He's like, I like your beard. I want to grow one out, but I can't. Oh, can I? Oh yeah, it's really nice. And he's just like in this guy's
he's in there, huh?
And look, whether it matters or not, it's a black man's face he's touching. The black guy goes, he smiles and doesn't move a bit. And he's like, yeah, it's nice, isn't it? While Murr or whoever it was is just like really giving it a like tug and like rub.
And that's
like,
an easy one.
Chin beard, like he's down here.
Touching the face is even easy by what they do. I remember they gave Sal, it was just a challenge. They're like, all right. And they do it all in the middle of New York. Like middle of New York, very social, park areas. People are walking around, high density, obviously. It's New York. And they were like, all right, Sal, go out there and we'll tell you what to do. And he does. And he's like, all right, you got to find someone and you got to kiss their abs. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, you got to find someone and you got to get them to pull their shirt up and let you kiss their abs. And so, like, he's going around asking people.
This is what I trained for.
It's so uncomfortable. And he eventually finds someone, like some old man. Like, I think it's the old man's like face is even blurred out, which meant they approached him afterwards. Like, hey, do you mind being on the show? He's like, no, fuck off. And so he's like, can I kiss your abs? And so then he gets on his knees in the middle of the park and kisses this old man.
That's how he did it?
Yeah.
Because they have to do it in the middle of the park. No, because they know it's embarrassing and they do humiliate themselves, but they also make it more embarrassing to like
that's for the
pump
show.
it up. Yeah.
I have I think I've talked about that, said this earlier, but I have a really fucking good head, as in I don't really get days, I don't get rocked, I never have, so that's good. I wasn't technically that great at it, but like if I applied myself, could I be good at it? I think so. But there's something, I'm so introverted that just being in front of a crowd or at a big event would probably psych me the fuck out, and I'd lose just based on that. I think
you definitely get an adrenaline dump for sure. Like you get this like crazy, like I felt like I was moving in slow motion out there. Even when I've competed before, like in front of a lot of people in jiu-jitsu, it is like a weird thing when like everything, it feels like so much pressure and there's bright lights on you. I got choked unconscious at a jiu-jitsu tournament. That was embarrassing. I was super embarrassed. I threw up bananas.
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
So you've been choked unconscious. You were super embarrassed. When you saw someone choked unconscious, I'm sure you've seen it. Do you think much less of them, or it's just the game?
No, I think that they're cool. I'm like, good job. You're fine.
Yeah. Like I do stuff like that too. Like, oh, for me, this is super embarrassing. I think that this happened. For you, oh, dude, I totally understand. This is just the game.
I got choked unconscious a couple of weeks ago, actually. And in the most embarrassing way, my trainer we were doing chokes all week, and so like
demonstrating.
And I'm like the high belt. There's like 40 people there, and he's like just holding a choke, and he just starts kind of monologuing a little bit, but it was fine. It was very light, and I was
Which
like,
choke?
Fine. Just a bow and arrow.
Okay.
So he was on my back and he was just very lightly holding it, but we had been doing chokes for like 5 days straight. And after you get choked a little bit, they come on quicker. And so I was just hanging out there and I should have turned my head, but I was like, oh, I'm totally fine. Then he tells a whole story. And then I wake up and my hand's like this. And I'm like, like I was just having a little like a baby seizure,
There's no shame in that. No.
Christ.
I'm so embarrassed, man. Everybody's like staring at me. My friend
gave you a
laughed.
seizure?
He gave me one as a gift.
You do like we called it the chicken dance in my gym.
It's the worst if you're on asphalt and you can't control it, but you're grinding your face into the asphalt.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I did that.
The thing about the crowds is an embarrassment for me. Like to go to this concert that got rescheduled, for a few months away. I have to psych myself. It's just being around people, that many fucking people.
Really? Have you ever been on the stage?
I think when I was young, like really young, doing plays and stuff. But it's weird because I can get on and I can talk to hundreds of thousands of people as long as you're not around me. But get me in a room with like 20 people, I went to
it's easier to talk to people in a small group like that because like you can read immediately how you're being perceived, and so you can change it real time.
It's not even that. It's just the fact of being around people, that many people. I went to it was a beer and burger festival. Fucking hated it. I was just
you hated a
like
burger and beer festival.
I did not feel comfortable. I was like, guys, I was there with my friends. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna take a walk.
So straight up like a crowded hallway, and you're not happy there.
I don't like crowds. I don't like airports. I don't like.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say the last like couple of years of like all this craziness, I definitely would consider myself kind of the social butterfly of most of my friend groups. And even like going through all this, I feel like I was getting like social anxiety when we would go out again and stuff, just because the amount of people. And I guess it's kind of like a perishable skill. Like if you don't work out, you get fat. If you don't talk all the time, your talking skills get a little bit crappy.
That's true. Yeah.
You know?
Very true.
Very true.
Yeah.
And I tend to avoid it as much as I can. So I need to work on that. But yeah.
I really don't. I don't mind public speaking. That's always been something that doesn't really bother me. Because I'm always like one of like even when I was given like presentations in college and it was like everyone else in the group didn't want to do the presentation part. It was like, oh fuck yeah, like what, you want me to present in front of a bunch of people who aren't paying attention anyway? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like are other students judging me? Who cares?
I had a lot of fun, like when we could do, and that's probably why I got into YouTube. I always thought that I would maybe be like a radio DJ or something. I thought that would be fun, but I was always the kid too that would present the project, or like if there was a chance for me to go to the front of the class and like talk about whatever, I'm like, yes, I want to do that.
Oh yeah, I was always the first to volunteer for any sort of like talking in front of the class because that's the smart way to do it. Like you're judged. If you're the first person to present anything, high school, college, regardless, you're going to be judged less critically than by the end. Because believe it or not, believe it or not, you know, teachers are human too, and they're paying a lot more attention and more willing to give you the benefit of the doubt early on. Whereas if you're the 39th of 41 presentations, they're out of it. They don't care. They're not paying attention. They're like probably psychologically turned off and angry at the fact they have to watch all that shit, and so that'll probably translate a bit to your final grade.
My comfort level with presentations is directly tied into my preparation level. If I'm a subject matter expert, I can get up there and talk, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm happy to take your questions. If my knowledge is thin, if it's skin deep, and I'm really just hoping to get out of there undiscovered, you know, I would like to get unscathed.
Very true. Yeah, there's a big difference there.
There's an Impractical Jokers where it's something very much like that. Like they have him pose as like an expert in quantum physics or something on a panel.
Yes, that's hilarious.
And like they're asking him these questions, and he's just trying to like, well, you know, the thing about that is I could take it or leave it, frankly. You know, like
they're asking him shit like, what do you think about the new study out of Harvard showing the neutrino field is actually a bit thicker and more robust than we thought before, and the implications on that? And he's like, yeah, the thing about that, don't get me started on neutrinos. I'll go all day. He's just
got to bullshit his way through it. And they're like, no, but could you specifically? like, if you had to, because you do. Choose one. You know,
I'm so glad you're watching a bunch of Impractical Jokers now. That is such a funny show.
I'm really enjoying it. I noticed that the things they usually fail on is when they have to say something mean to a stranger. That's what they have a hard time with. The awkwardness they can usually pull out. But I remember like there was a black woman came into a checkout line, and she had this ridiculous wig on that made her look like James Brown. And they told him to say, "Oh wow, it's the Godfather of Soul," and he was just like, "Hello, ma'am, how are you tonight?" They like fail.
That's what's so good about it. Like that's why their prank show succeeded where a bunch of others failed, is because they make themselves the butt of the joke.
Yeah,
and the thing that makes them the most uncomfortable is like insulting a random person. Like they'll make themselves the ass, the butt of the joke all day, but the second you ask them to like make another person the butt of the joke, they all get very uncomfortable. They don't like
doing it. I saw one where they're driving a taxi or something, and this black lady is in the back seat, and she's telling a story, and they're like, roll down both of her windows mid-conversation as they're driving down the road. He does it. He doesn't really think much of it. He goes, now say, I thought I heard you crack a rat back there. So I rolled him down, and he's just like, thought I heard you crack. Thought I heard you crack a rat back there, so I rolled it down. Like it's so painful for him to get out. Like
it's dude, the one of the most uncomfortable punishments I've ever seen on that show is when Q, the heavier guy, one of the heavier guys,
they're all fat.
His punishment is he has to teach an art class to a bunch of children, and the kids are painting their little art. They're children.
Flowers.
And his punishment is he thought it was going to have to be to teach the art class, and then they're like, you can't leave until you paint a red X on every single kid's painting in that room. And so these kids are like working on cats. They're like 6 years old, and he has to like paint over it the big red X.
So what it was, they said, okay, look at this little girl's painting of the flower. He's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Tell her it's great, but not good enough. And then exit out. And he's like, no, I can't do it. They're like, all right, that means you fail this episode. Your punishment, a red X on every child's photo. And he's just like, fuck.
And he gets to like one 12-year-old who's like seen him do the red X to 5 other people, and she's like, don't you paint a red X on mine. Don't paint a red X on my photo. And he's like dipping it in like it's so uncomfortable.
That is a light
it's hilarious
compared to the tattoos.
They're in front of their parents.
Compared to the
mother,
tattoos, true. But it's so uncomfortable. All the mothers are there.
The tattoos, the piercings. They made the one Italian guy get those diamond studs in his ears. That was pretty nuts. Yeah, it's a good show. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's on HBO if anybody wants to watch it. You can like popcorn through like 3 episodes like so fast. It's a good show. I saw one.
It's very funny.
One of the bits they did, they had these running gags sometimes that are really good. So essentially, they did this thing where one of them climbed on a statue in New York, and I guess it's a federal statue, and it's like minor league trouble, right? Like a little fine or something.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they told him that he had to go to some proceedings, and so he goes there and meets with an actress posing as a government official at a courthouse in New York, and she is super bitchy. She's like, "We're escalating this. You knew you were trespassing. You just said it on camera to me, sir. You just told me to my face you knew you were trespassing."
Yeah.
And then they go 1 week later. The bit's still going. And they show up and like pull their permits, not just for what they're doing that day, but for the entire city of New York, which would pretty much fuck their show. They're like, that woman is pulling our permits citywide, all of us, anything. And they're just melting down. And then they turn around and there she is, like laughing her ass off at him. It's they go really in depth with their gags.
It is so fucking funny. I love Impractical Jokers. I was gonna ask you, Kyle, but I guess anyone. You guys know who Idubbbz is? The YouTube personality. Yeah. He makes funny videos, but also like funny documentaries on interesting individuals. Mm-hmm. And he and his team were going to make a documentary on Sam Hyde. Do you know who Sam Hyde is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the creator of $1 Million Extreme, very funny guy, very edgy guy, and Idubbbz was going to have was coming to where Sam is with his setup and everything, and was going to make a documentary about how he fell off, and it was going to apparently be kind of a sandbagging kind of thing. Except Sam Hyde had his own team of documentarians there when Idubbbz arrived, and he filmed a concurrent documentary as Idubbbz was trying to do it, and then released it way before Idubbbz could.
Great.
And so there's like 1 million views on Sam Hyde's channel. It's called like The Truth About Idubbbz, and it's not even like a roasting or anything of Idubbbz, but it is Sam Hyde absolutely alphaing Idubbbz. And Sam Hyde, if you don't know, he's 6'7", and he's a huge guy who lifts and boxes.
He's a nasty beast.
He's a nasty beast. 100% nasty beast. And so Idubbbz shows up to film this documentary, and Sam Hyde and his team had invented huge numbers of ways to fuck with him and make it seem like his situation was way worse than it was. He was like, number one, tons of alcohol. Everyone's got to be drunk all the time. We're going to buy a bunch of Pokemon cards and keep trying to explain Pokemon cards to him as though it's like a new NFT style thing. And we're going to have a bunch of dead wasps on the table for no reason. No one's going to address it. There's going to be a huge amount of dead wasps everywhere. He said he was going to start a rap song and he was going to rap freestyle, and the hook would be swag like Idubbbz. And just like keep making him more uncomfortable. The first thing when Idubbbz shows up to like film this sandbag documentary, Sam Hyde goes, "We're just going to do something we do all the time. Come on, come with us." He takes Idubbbz under a graffitied, dirty bridge 15 minutes after he gets there and forces him to box with Sam Hyde, who's 6'7" and huge, and they're just like fighting under a bridge a little bit. Sam's not going full force or anything, but it is so fucking funny that Idubbbz, a guy who like usually makes the video being the aloof, look at this idiot guy, being the uncomfortable, terrified guy, because you see Sam Hyde in full boxing gear. He's got that girdle on and he's got the things on, and he's like trying to teach Idubbbz how to box, but he's like mogging him, like being so much bigger.
Bro, I have to watch this.
He has Idubbbz hold like the kicking thing, and Sam is unloading powerful kicks into him under a bridge with graffiti everywhere, and he plays it off like, yeah, this is our favorite bridge, we love playing down here. he humiliates him. It is so fucking funny. There's no way Idubbbz is going to release that documentary because other things. They had a whole document that's on Twitter on a viral thread of all the things they thought of to fuck with Idubbbz. They put fake shit on the bathroom floor. He said, one of us has to be brandishing a gun just in case I gotta hot someone.
I have hazel eyes. It says so on my license.
That's right. It says so on mine too. Also says I'm 6'4".
Really?
Fuck no. Although that would be kind of funny. I do think
that would be funny.
Like when you get your driver's license done and make it silly. I do think that prank is funny. Who was it that shaved their head or like did a whole disguise?
Murr from Impractical Jokers.
Oh
Bring up the
God.
Murr Impractical Jokers licenses and passport.
His punishment was to make his driver's license photo look nothing like what his day-to-day self looks like. So much so that it wouldn't work as ID.
They made him get his passport photo taken one season as a punishment, wearing like a wig of fake hair and being all hairy and ridiculous, and the next season no hair at all for his license. And so he was like, yeah, even at airports, like it's not working. He looks like a fucking murderer in that. Damn, I wish there was a side-by-side of that with his
There you go. Yeah, that's why it doesn't work, because his passport, they made him look like that.
And that wig is the punishment he had for that wig. That's not a wig. That's another cast member's hair that they shaved off and made into a wig, and so he has to wear his buddy's hair for a year. That I'm gonna rewatch some Impractical Jokers. That is such a fucking good show.
I keep waiting for the new season that doesn't have the one
Joe
in it. I haven't seen it yet, but
I don't know how they're gonna do it without Joe.
Well.
Joe
you
is
said you've
so
been,
much. Yeah,
I wanted you to finish your thought, but Joe was great to the show. It's going to suck without him. They bring in a
100%.
guest star every week to replace him, which is what you always do when you lose someone beloved. It's a good transition period. Hopefully he comes back. I was going to say, I think you wrote in the chat the other day that you'd been reading horror books or something.
Yeah.
As we lead into the spooky month of October, what have you been reading?
I went to this like discount bookstore probably like a month ago and was just poking around, and within like picking 2 books out, I was like, oh my God, like you can get like, these are like 1,000-page books for $4.99. And so I bought a bunch of them. I got the Necronomicon, which is the compilation of H.P. Lovecraft's horror short stories. And I've read most of that now. It's very good, mostly.
I've read
like
a lot
most
of that too.
Anthology. Have you?
Yeah, of
like,
course. I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft, as most. Well,
yeah, I
don't
like
read too
H.P.
much
Lovecraft.
about him, or you might like him less.
Yeah.
Oh, one that I genuinely don't know if I could do Because like if put to the test, like I could skydive, they could push me out of a plane. I would hate it, but I could do it. Like they put Sal as a punishment in an escape room, and it was a fake escape room. And the escape room leader, like the worker there, before they went in, was like, "All right, we're gonna pick a leader for the group. Sal, you're the leader, so you kind of organize everything." And it's him and like 8 other random people. Something. They go into the room and they're like, "All right, Sal, you just keep finding clues, but at some point you have to piss your pants." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "At some point you need to figure out how to piss your pants, because this punishment isn't over until your pants are soaked in piss." And so he's like walking around clearly stressed out as shit, like, what do you think about that clue? Yeah. I don't know. And so then he like just goes and stands there, and they're like, "Draw attention to yourself. Draw attention while you're pissing." And he's like, "Everyone, I have to go." And he's standing on a chair so everyone can see him, and you can see him like trying to piss, because your body doesn't want to piss your pants because it knows you're not by a toilet, and you just see like an afternoon at a baseball game beer amount of piss just soaking his khakis. And then as soon as he does that, he like tries to be like, "All right, is that it?" And they're like, "No, bud, you got to solve the puzzle." And so then they made him go around. They're like, "We want you to be really involved. See that woman? See that woman working on that puzzle? I want you to walk up right behind her and help." And so he's walking behind people soaked in piss, just trying to help. It is so goddamn embarrassing, but it is so fucking funny.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that.
Are they still making episodes?
They
are,
still making
one
episodes.
of them is leaving the show.
Yeah, Joe, my favorite guy on the show, one of the 4. He's my
Joe's
favorite.
bulletproof.
Yeah, you can't humiliate that guy.
The only time Joe loses is when the game is rigged against him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they tell Joe to do something, he just fucking does it. So they'll be like, find a woman with a parakeet on her head. And it's like, wait, what? You lose. And it's like, well, all right, I guess, fuck you, because the game's rigged against me. Okay. Oh, what are you going to do to me at the end? Oh, you'll make me do a fashion show? Tricks on you. I brought my own bikini. Like he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like
he's the one, he always reverses the punishment until like the audience who's supposed to be cringing is like laughing with him at like the absurdity. He's the one that I told you had the fan rub him down with lotion, and the fan didn't realize that he's being recorded. The fan thinks he's recognized a TV show host in a park sunbathing. Meanwhile, they're filming an episode, and he's like, "Hey, would you rub me down with suntan lotion?" And it's SPF 10,000, so he's painting him white. It's like zinc oxide. It's that stuff you only put on your nose when you're like fishing or like a lifeguard out on the water.
Who has the tattoos?
Everyone, but so there was an episode. It was it's Sal, Murr, Joe, and Q. And Q, Sal, and Murr, they all tied for loser, which means that Joe won, so he got to pick the punishment. And he chose tattoos, and that was that one, which is the most brutal thing. And they kept
one of them has both. One of them has Jaden Smith on both thighs, though.
Who has that?
That's Sal. Poor fucking Sal. He's the and like it's funny.
That reveal is one of the funniest things ever, because like they're in a unique position because he just happens to have those 2 tattoos. He's the trick. The way you win is you get someone to. You read an email out loud to them, and you have to get them to say, "This is good to go, right? I should send it." Yeah. They have to say yes. So first of all, the email is like threatening someone's life and telling them that he's not going to put up with their shit and he's coming for them. And he's like, "Do you think I'm good to send it?" Because let me explain. I tried to get a tattoo of my son, and I got this, and it's Jaden Smith. Yeah. That is not my son. This is my son, and it's just like fucking pure, like white, blonde-eyed, or blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, handsome little kid. And she's like, "That is not your son. I would be mad." It's like, "You think it's worse? They threw in a free tattoo if I go back. They did this." She's like, "Oh no!" And they're both. So the email's good to go, right? The other one's Jaden Smith too. Like, yes, send it. And like the email mentioned threat. I think the email was like, "Just so you know, I'll come for you and your family." It was something like that. It was like a scary threat. It's so disjointed always to be like, "I'm coming for you. Watch your back. Take care." Like something like that.
The funniest thing about the tattoo reveal was they did it in the right order. And so like Q, who was at the time 38, lived alone and had 3 cats. His tattoo was a cat with around it. 38 lives alone, has 3 cats on his arm. And then Murr looks like a ferret, and so they put a ferret skydiving. And so it was like, oh, it has to do with you at least. And then Sal goes last, and he rips it off, and his response, like Viscera, is like, what's this have to do with me?
It's so well done, too.
It is such a under the radar show because it's on True TV, but it is so fucking funny. And when you're watching season 1 and the punishments are mild, like they even talk about in later things, like interviews, they're like, yeah, the studio had so much control over season 1 they wouldn't let us hardly do anything, and then we got more control over it. The simple uncomfortable ones I think are more funny in some ways than like the intense ones. Like it was funny watching Murr skydive because you can tell that he genuinely had a true fear of it. He talked about how before that in an interview he was like, yeah, we didn't show this in the episode, but I locked myself in the bathroom at the skydiving location and I cried for about 20-25 minutes and then I came out and did it. And but like one that was like worse for that, like that I could imagine myself having a harder time doing was like having to walk around a cafe and close people's laptops.
I didn't mind that one at all.
That's so uncomfortable, dude.
To me, I would absolutely pull that one off. Like that one seems easy.
Oh, the really rude, uncomfortable ones are hard.
Like all you got to do is like shake your head, apologize, and mention some vague rule or something, and walk away. And there's not going to be anything said. You could just be like, "I'm so sorry. It's the new rule," and you could just like close their laptop gently and walk away. In no circumstance does anyone, even like a crazy person, have an issue with you.
Oh, dude,
I would not have a problem with that one.
The only time I saw them get Joe really good was when it was in like the Chinatown. His punishment was in the Chinatown area of New York. And, you know, they told him the punishment was, we told them that you are a classical oboist or whatever the fuck. And so we told them you're going to go up there and you're going to take that oboe or that you're going to take that clarinet and you're going to bang out a bunch of songs and stuff. But what was really, you know, the situation going on, which it was a made up situation, but the audience doesn't know that. They were in Chinese talking about the death of a young prodigy, and his clarinet was up there on display in remembrance of him, and that no one will ever play it again out of respect for this young savant. And so they call him up. He's like, and the person's like, Jo gato, and then he like is like, he gets up there and walks up, and they're like, all right, buddy, time to play. And so he just grabs the clarinet from the ceremony thing and starts going, and like you can see all of the Chinese people in the audience like livid at the the
disrespect.
Just the disrespect. And he keeps going.
Because they probably think that this guy is playing it poorly on purpose as a mockery to a dead man.
They have no idea. But like that was, and it's not as bad because at the time you just think you're making an ass of yourself. But like afterward, it's like, oh
there's a lot of them where they think they're there to do one thing and the rug is pulled out. So like I saw the one where he's dressed as Dracula. Like full on Dracula, and they tell him that he's going to be part of like some sort of a Dracula musical, and he's like, "All right, fuck it, you know, I'm a performer." He's not though. He's in a Christian black choir, and he's leading them.
And he's dressed, and they're all in their church robes, and he's Dracula in the middle of it.
He's inexplicably Dracula amongst a bunch of black church ladies who are singing and clapping. And if you watch that one, there's like 2 of those ladies who are not having it. It seems like they did not know what they were getting into, and they are just like, fucking honky ass bitch wearing that fucking Dracula shit, disrespectful cocksucker. I'll take your money, give it to the church ladies. I clap and I ain't singing. Like these ladies are not having it. You could tell how upset they are with Dracula over there because he has to dance and sing, and they don't know why he's dancing and singing. I like that show a lot. I gotta find the 2 punishments
real
you
quick.
mentioned.
Here's the picture. Zach, if you could show. Kyle's finding the Jaden Smith one. You'll have to scroll down a sec, Zach, when you put it up. But it's what Murr looked like as Dracula with all the black singers. It's
oh God. Oh, but
it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, you can see a GIF in the top right over there. That's the one I think where he has to read maybe the wedding speech.
Oh yeah, where he like is making a bunch of sexual innuendos about the married couple.
No one knows him. He's like, Brittany's beautiful inside and out. I should know.
And they get all those close-ups of like aunts and uncles, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like someone's whispering to the bride, "Do you want me to stop this?" Like they're ready to go beat the shit out of this guy. Like it's incredibly awkward, and it's a great premise for a show. I hope that it's still good after what's his name.
I really hope it's still good after Joe leaves, because and
the cool thing about it is it's just like such good. Each episode is really short. Like they're over before you know it. They do like 2 or 3 bits and then a punishment, and that's it. So every episode feels like these popcorn bites that you can just do one after another. So I'll be sitting there like eating lunch and watching, and like I'll watch 6 or 8 of them before it's over. They're really good.
They're really so fun.
And there's a lot of them on there. Like
when Joe has to go to a Mets game, and when the players are throwing the balls up to the kids, he has to intercept and keep every single ball for himself, and openly talk about like another one for eBay, and like all the players, like the players are mad at him. He had a mom chase him down, like that is not yours. You stole that from that boy.
He's like, another one for eBay.
he's like that's 7 for eBay. He had like a giant a fanny pack full of baseballs, because he would walk over, like there was a kid that caught one. He's like, that's really cool. Can I see that? Yeah. He just took it from the kid, put it in there, and walked away. And like adults were like, that's the kind of thing that'll get the shit kicked out of you in public.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If that kid's parents saw that,
you can't.
Like, you would be in deep trouble.
Bully children.
No, you can't bully children.
But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the Necronomicon.
86.
I've been reading that. That's a really good one. But like I won't say it's like all a banger or anything, because like any anthology book, there's big wins, like where you're like at the end of that short story and you're like, fuck, I wish this was fleshed out more. I wish there were 500 more pages of this story. And then there are other ones where you get like 15 pages into the 30-page short story and you're like, this one just isn't doing it for me. And then you just flip to the next one and go
Stephen
there.
King has those. I read like,
yeah,
I don't know, one of those anthologies with just tons of stories.
I have I bought a couple giant books that were sci-fi anthology, and like I don't have nearly as much experience reading sci-fi as I do fantasy and horror, and so I've been doing that more like just before bed. Like I'll read a few of those. It's just called like they're compilation books from like the 2000, like 1998, like, and it's a bunch of I just say they're older books because I don't even know what you would call them. It's just like the best sci-fi, of 1998 or whatever. And it's like 1,200 pages of short stories. And what I found with sci-fi is that even more than horror, or maybe it's just I enjoy that genre not as much as horror, is like real early in stories, you'll be like, oh, this is just stupid. Like this is really bad. But then the chasm is so great. There's other sci-fi ones where you're reading and you're like pissed that it ends, where you're like, fuck, that premise was so good. I wish this author like fleshed it out further instead of kind of leaving a cliffhanger.
Some sci-fi books have me going at like, if my brain was an engine, it's maxed out. I'm redlining to keep up with this fucking book. Like, wait a minute, I need to visual. Like 3 Body Problem did that a lot to me. And I kind of like that. I kind of like
trailer for that's out.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I like a book that makes me work at it.
Yeah. And I've got this. I've got a thriller anthology book. It's called Thriller, I think. And it's maybe Stephen King edited it, or some like well-known author edited it, and it's got a bunch of like thriller style stories in there. I don't know why. I just saw they had a bunch of anthology style books available, and so I bought like 9 of them, and it was only like $50-$60 for probably 15,000 pages.
I found a website a while back where you could just buy boxes of books and you could pick the genre you wanted to purchase. And every time I try to wait for them to restock, they're sold out of sci-fi and fantasy. And it's just like, oh, do you want you want 25 pounds of romance novels? It's like, fuck you. No, I want 25 pounds of sci-fi and fantasy. That's how they sell them, like by the pound. You just get a crate full of books.
I would do that. I would definitely do that.
I wanted it, but you know what it'd be? It'd be like that time I bought all those magic cards.
Oh yeah, they're just all trash.
I was like, what do you
There's
mean
a lot of
10,000
land in
cards?
here.
Oh my god, we're never gonna run out of land. It was so. I think I bought.
Do a horror box. You like horror?
I think that was always sold out too. I should check again. It's like 3 months in a row that they didn't restock. But I have a lot of books here that I haven't read. I'll send you a picture later of the library is a strong word of the book pile.
The bookshelf, not even a shelf, just a pile.
Well, the shelf's full, and then the second shelf's. I've got 2 or 3 shelves full of a bunch of stuff, but a lot of it's fantasy, and a lot of it I haven't gotten to. But I like the old stuff. I like I like Jules Verne a lot, and I really like the all the Cthulhu stuff. I really like that. But then the more I learned about your boy. He's a real he's like the OG incel. That guy was a fucking loser. Lovecraft?
Who cares as long as it's a good story?